Somewhere in the south of China, there is a building so enormous that you could walk through it for an entire day and never pass the same corridor twice. It was designed to swallow 100,000 visitors at once. It has its own canals, its own Arc de Triomphe, its own pyramids. And for nearly 10 years, it stood almost completely empty. No music, no footsteps, no crowds, just kilometry after kilometry of polished marble, waiting for a flood of people who simply never came. This is the story of the largest shopping mall ever built. A monument so ambitious it made even Dubai's record-breaking giants look modest. But behind its glittering domes lies a mystery that planners spent 2 decades trying to bury. Why would anyone build the biggest mall on Earth and then watch it die in silence? To understand how strange this is, you have to start in Dubai. Because for years, this city defined what a shopping mall could be. The Dubai Mall, a cathedral of glass and gold with an aquarium taller than a house, an indoor waterfall, and over 1,000 stores beneath a single roof. It became the most visited place on the planet, drawing more people in a year than New York City. Dubai had turned shopping into spectacle, and the world assumed no one could ever go bigger. The world was wrong. Because thousands of kilometers away, in the Chinese city of Dongguan, a quiet businessman was sketching out something that defied logic. Not a mall. A universe. A place so large it didn't measure itself in stores, it measured itself in cities. And when the doors finally opened, the numbers were almost impossible to believe. Roughly 660,000 square meters of retail space. Room for more than 1,500 shops. By the measure that matters most, sheer leasable area, it wasn't just bigger than the Dubai Mall. It was the biggest shopping mall the human race had ever constructed. On paper, it should have been the 8th wonder of the modern world. So why has almost no one ever heard of it? Walk inside, and the scale hits you like a wave. The architects didn't want a mall, they wanted the whole planet under one ceiling. So they built it. There is a replica of the Arc de Triomphe, standing proud beneath the lights. There are canals modeled on Venice, complete with gondolas drifting on artificial water. There is a towering bell tower copied from St. Mark's Square, a windmill borrowed from Amsterdam, Egyptian monuments, Roman columns. A great glassy dome stretching overhead, 7 themed zones, each pretending to be a different corner of the globe. It was designed to make you forget you were in China at all. To make you believe you could travel the entire world in an afternoon, then buy a handbag on the way out. And yet, when you look closer at the old photographs, something is deeply, profoundly wrong. The gondolas float on empty canals. The grand boulevards stretch toward shuttered storefronts. The escalators climb endlessly toward darkened floors. In a space built for 100,000 visitors, you can sometimes count the actual shoppers on one hand. The lights are on, the doors are open, but the people are missing. For years, it earned a nickname that haunted it like a curse: the Ghost Mall. And the deeper investigators dug into how this happened, the stranger the story became. Now here's the part that almost no documentary dares to explain. Because the obvious question is the one everyone gets wrong. Most people assume a mall this empty must have failed because it was ugly, or broken, or badly built. But that's not what happened here. This place was gleaming, modern, spectacular, by every visible measure. It was a masterpiece. So if the building was perfect, then the failure had to come from somewhere you couldn't see. And that hidden flaw is the real secret of the world's biggest mall. The first crack was location. The mall wasn't built in the heart of a megacity, the way Dubai placed its giants beside soaring towers and luxury hotels. It was built on the edge of an industrial zone, surrounded mostly by factory workers, people earning modest wages, who had little reason and little money to wander a fantasy version of Venice. The dream was aimed at millionaires. The neighborhood was full of laborers. The second crack was timing. The mall opened in an era before China's online shopping revolution truly exploded. But within just a few years, a tidal wave was coming. A shift to buying everything from a phone delivered to your door. Why travel across a city to a cavernous palace of marble when the same products arrived at your apartment overnight? The mall had been engineered for a world that was about to vanish. And the third crack, the deepest one, was something almost philosophical. The builders had confused size with desire. They believed that if you made something big enough, impressive enough, grand enough, the crowds would have no choice but to come. But human beings don't fall in love with scale. They fall in love with life. with energy, with other people. And an empty palace, no matter how magnificent, feels less like a wonder and more like a tomb. That's the haunting truth Dubai understood and Dongguan didn't. The Dubai Mall was never really about shopping. It was about the feeling, the fountains erupting at sunset, the crowds gasping, the sense that you were standing at the center of the world. The world's biggest mall had copied the architecture of wonder, but it had forgotten to import the wonder itself. For nearly a decade, this giant sat in eerie silence, a billion-dollar monument to ambition with no audience to applaud it. Tourists who managed to find it describe the experience as unsettling, wandering through endless luxury corridors, hearing only the echo of their own footsteps, passing lock shop after lock shop as if the entire human race had simply walked out and never returned. But the story doesn't end in the dark. Because eventually, the people who controlled this colossus realized the original dream was dead, and they did something almost no one expected. They stopped trying to be a temple of luxury. The gondolas and the marble stayed, but slowly, quietly, the empty halls began filling with something different. Indoor playgrounds, food courts, family attractions, entertainment for ordinary people who lived nearby, not millionaires from across the world, just families from down the road. And against all odds, they started coming. The footsteps returned. The echoes faded beneath the sound of children laughing. The ghost mall, the great failure, the embarrassment that planners had tried to forget, slowly flickered back to life, not as the global wonder it was meant to be, but as something far humbler and far more real. So here is the final revelation, the one that turns this entire story on its head. The world's biggest shopping mall didn't fail because it was too big. It failed because it was built for a fantasy, a world of endless wealthy crowds that existed only in the minds of its creators. And it only survived when it finally gave up that fantasy and started serving real people instead. It stands today as the largest mall on Earth, and the strangest. A place that conquered the record books, then nearly died of loneliness, then clawed its way back from the silence. A monument to the one truth every empire of glass and gold eventually learns, that you cannot simply build greatness and expect the world to arrive. Greatness has to be earned, one footstep at a time. Which leaves us with the question worth sitting with tonight. If the biggest, the grandest, the most ambitious creation in its entire industry could be brought to its knees by emptiness alone, then what does that say about all the other glittering giants we're told to admire? How many of the world's most dazzling wonders are hiding a silence just like this one, behind the lights? That's the kind of secret most people never get to hear. But you just did. If this story gave you chills, you are exactly the kind of person this channel was made for. Subscribe to Dubai Secrets and stay close. Because the hidden truths behind the world's most impossible buildings are far darker and far stranger than anyone wants you to know. And the next secret we uncover might be the one they've worked hardest to keep buried.